Hey everybody, I'm Matt Halpern from Periphery, and today I want to talk to you about my Meinl cymbal setup. So initially, let's start with the fact that all of these cymbals are from the Byzance series, which are undoubtedly my favorite Meinl cymbal series. So we'll start here on the left. These two cymbals are both extra thin hammered crashes. We have the 20 here and the 18 here. These have been staples to my drum kit for as long as I can remember now. I spent a lot of time over the years kind of deciding which crash cymbals I liked. And when I discovered this combination together, it quickly became my go-to. This combo has been featured on many of the Periphery albums as of the past bunch of years. And like I said, it's a staple in my drum kit. The cymbals are beautiful sounding. They have just the right amount of wash. I think they have a great amount of attack. They fit very nicely tonally together. They're different enough in tone, but they're close enough in the overall character that they just complement each other really well, especially in contrast with the rest of the kit. And yeah, I don't ever, I don't want to say never, but I don't foresee myself switching these two crashes here for any particular reason, at least not for Periphery. So right here are 15-inch medium hi-hats. They're traditional in terms of the feel, the texture. I've liked always just how crisp they sound. When they're closed, you get such a nice amount of attack. I think, again, with the style of music that I play with Periphery, the closed hi-hats really need to cut through the mix of 3 guitars and essentially a wall of sound. And the response that I get from these hi-hats really does just that. It cuts through the mix in a great way. When they're open, they're just the right amount of washy and can be a little bit dirty here and there. But I like that for heavy music. And oftentimes with the music that we play, it gets pretty busy, pretty heavy. And again, having hi-hats that complement that sound is what the prescription is, and these really do the job. So again, another set of cymbals that have been a staple of my drum set for a very long time. Let's talk about the 8-inch traditional splash. I tend to go back and forth sometimes between a 10-inch splash and an 8-inch splash. More recently, I've stuck with the 8-inch splash. I think, one, it fits really nicely in this position, this location on my drum kit. I have 4 cymbals in a very close proximity to one another here. So having something that is smaller that fits in nicely with the other combination works really well. I think also this cymbal just has a lot of character. It's bright. Again, it cuts through the music in a way that you can hear it over all of the craziness of the Periphery big wall of sound. You're gonna hear me say often how much I love it and probably how these cymbals are all staples of my kit, but it's the truth. This is, these are combinations that I've been playing now for years and years and years. And there's a reason for it. I just think it really works for the feel, for the sound, durability. There's a lot of reasons. So let's move over to the right side. Let's start with the 2 signature cymbals that I have here. So this one right here is my 21-inch double down crash ride. And then this one here is my double down stack, which is part of the Artist Concept series. So what's interesting about all of the cymbals in the double down series is the top of each cymbal is unlathed, and then the bottom of each cymbal is lathed. So for the crash ride, I was looking for years for a crash ride that I could really lay into and get a really big wash out of, something that I really could crash on and use on this right side that didn't really require me to have any extra cymbals or another crash cymbal on this side. For many years, I did play with a crash as well as a ride on this side of the kit. And I've just, over the years, I've looked to pare things down and simplify more, and this cymbal allowed me to do that. In developing it with Meinl, again, what I was looking for was a ride cymbal that could really crash well, that had a lot of volume to it, but also had a relatively quick decay to it. I didn't want something that would bleed into the other mics on stage when playing live with Periphery, specifically into my singer's mic. So again, most rides probably won't do that when you play it like a ride cymbal, but I play this crash ride most of the time, like a big crash cymbal than I do a ride cymbal. Hence the importance for me to limit the bleed into other mics on the kit or other mics on the stage. And in terms of the crash function of this crash ride, I feel like it really accomplishes just that. It's the perfect amount of big and cutting through the music, but also the perfect amount of decay as well. And it has to do with the makeup. The combination of the unlathed and the lathed on the bottom really helps to kind of dull it down where it needs to, and then brighten it up as well from the bottom when it also needs to. Then if you want to play it more like a traditional ride cymbal where you're playing the bow or the bell, it has that really pretty responsiveness to it. It has very nice attack around the bow area, and then the bell itself, it was kind of a hard combination to come across, and it took a little bit of time for us to hone it in. But I wanted a bell that would cut through, again, the complexity of the sound with Periphery live. We needed something that could cut through all the sound that we have on stage. So we really focused on honing in to this bell of this crash ride. We experimented with ones that were a lot bigger, some that were smaller, some that were different shapes, and this ended up being the perfect shape to really cut through. This really was exactly what I was looking for in terms of my crash ride. So let's talk about the double down stack. I've played this stack for many, many years now, but even prior to it being the official double down stack, I was using the combination of an 18-inch China and a 17-inch crash to achieve the sound that I was looking for a stack that, again, just was abrasive in the best way, right? That really could cut through the music, that had a big sound without being too crunchy, without being too loose or too washy. I wanted to get as much attack out of it as possible while having just the perfect amount of sort of sustain to it to where it was controlled and you could hit it repeatedly and still get the attack with every single hit. That's what this is. That's what I believe we've accomplished with the double down stack. You can set it in multi configurations, which is very cool, but for the music that I play with Periphery, this particular configuration is definitely the go-to. Now, as I mentioned, briefly, the bottom of each cymbal is lathed and the other side of it is unlathed. And in any combination that you would set these cymbals up, ideally you would have the parts that are touching, you would have one part that is lathed touching a part that is unlathed. Two textures together that are different create a really nice sort of friction that I think directly contributes to the sound that you get from this particular set of cymbals. Lastly, out of all my cymbals and out of all of the China cymbals in the Meinl offerings, I personally believe that the 20-inch traditional Byzance China is the best China cymbal, not only in all of the Meinl cymbal series, but of all cymbals of all time. This is the best China cymbal in the world, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find drummers that disagree with me. And I'm sure there are some, but it'd be hard to find because this really is the best sounding China. I've played around with, like I've experimented with the 18-inch version of this, which sounds great as well. I played around with the 22-inch version of this, which sounds very, very good. Nothing sounds as good as the 20-inch China. It's not only perfect for periphery and the music that I play in that context, it works in pretty much every musical context that I play in the studio. It's the perfect amount of reverb and sustain that's naturally built into it. It's got the perfect amount of attack. When I think of a China cymbal, I don't want a China cymbal that's too high in pitch, too low in pitch, and sort of like tinny. I want something that has like this perfect breath to it, and yeah, this is it. So yeah, I really hope that you like the way all these cymbals have sounded in the performance video that we put out previously. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.